When we look, you can see families were more than willing to go to the box office to support something like the Minecraft movie, while Rachel Zegler's Snow White continues to plunge.
She's literally the only person there. And do you not understand how humiliating this is? Meanwhile, the experience at Minecraft goes something like this.
Minecraft in the United States in one weekend made more money than Snow White has made globally after 3 weekends. That's how bad it is right now.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
Warner Brothers' Minecraft movie versus Disney's Snow White, which in theory should be quite a battle, but it's not even a fair fight. And it's pretty hysterical actually to watch.
There's no way that Snow White is going to recover.
Every single one of these reviews is just absolutely brutal. And what you also need to know is that these are not politically driven reviews. I mean, most of them are from the camp that should be supporting Disney, that should be behind this new progressive take on Snow White, and yet they can't because the film is apparently just that bad.
Rachel Zegler is a loudmouth dope.
We're talking about ultra-far leftists, people who believe that men and women are a figment of your imagination, that your money is not your own, that your family is not your own, and that your country is not your own. That's what woke me.
Snow White, of course, famously played by the insufferable girl boss narcissist who's just clinical at this point.
Now, there is no doubt about it that Snow White 2025 is considered by far one of the worst box office failures, not just with Disney, but also in the entire film history when it comes down to live-action remakes.
DC said Disney's Snow White has a major identity crisis.
But it says, meanwhile, over in the kingdom of crumbling crowns, Disney's Snow White dropped like an enchanted apple.
What they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you, that hates everything America stands for.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Saying that audiences will always line up to see her no matter what she does.
Every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You know what's interesting about all this is that the only person waiting in line to see Snow White was Rachel Zegler.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Well, we all basically knew that Snow White was going to be a massive failure at the box office because of Rachel Zegler's controversial statement.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
Chicken job.
What if I told you that a video game-inspired movie made up of nothing but pixelated blocks managed to crush one of Disney's most iconic fairy tales at the box office? No, this isn't a joke. While Disney's Snow White, one of the most beloved animated classics, struggles to stay afloat, the Minecraft movie just shattered expectations, leaving Disney's latest flop in the dust. And you won't believe the drama that unfolded behind the scenes. So how did a game about building blocks leave Snow White in the dust? Stick around because the answers might shock you. When the Minecraft movie hit theaters, critics and industry experts were quick to write it off. They called it too simple, too childish, and yes, too blocky to stand a chance against the big budget giants of Hollywood. But those so-called expert predictions didn't just miss the mark, they were completely obliterated. In its opening weekend alone, Minecraft made an astounding $60 million just on Saturday. By the end of its first weekend, the film was raking in a staggering $300 million globally. globally, far exceeding any reasonable expectations. Now, let's take a look at Disney's Snow White, which was expected to capitalize on nostalgia and its iconic status. Despite all the marketing and hype, Snow White only managed to scrape together about $77 million over the course of 3 weeks. Yes, you heard that right. A movie that was supposed to reignite the magic of Disney's classic fairy tales struggled to even keep up with a Minecraft movie that's made entirely of cubes. What's even more surprising is that Minecraft wasn't just about the game. It had the backing of a massive, dedicated fan base that spans across generations. Kids who play it on their tablets, teenagers streaming their builds on YouTube, and adults who've been building blocky empires since the game's 2011 release. The Minecraft movie wasn't trying to deliver a lecture or make a political statement. It was pure, simple fun, and that's exactly what audiences craved. It wasn't about social commentary, it was about giving fans an escape, and that's exactly what worked. While Minecraft was breaking records, Disney's Snow White was quickly becoming a disaster of epic proportions. The failure of this live-action remake wasn't just about a bad script or subpar acting, it was about a fundamental disconnect with the audience. Fans who grew up with the original 1937 animated classic were furious at what Disney had done to their beloved fairy tale. The movie wasn't just a reimagining, it felt like a complete betrayal. At the heart of the controversy was Rachel Zegler, the actress cast as Snow White. From the start, she made it clear that she wasn't interested in honoring the original story. In interviews, she blasted the classic film, criticizing its themes and the character of Snow White herself. She called the original Snow White outdated and problematic, claiming the love story was creepy, as if a man stalked her. This wasn't the nostalgic reimagining fans were hoping for. It was a lecture disguised as a movie, but the damage didn't stop there. Snow White was plagued by an identity crisis. Disney's attempt to modernize the character by making her a progressive feminist icon felt forced, alienating those who wanted to see the magical adventure they remembered. The result? A film that was less about storytelling and more about political messaging, a move that left fans disappointed and frustrated. Despite Disney's massive marketing push, Snow White couldn't escape the backlash, with fans turning their backs on the film and staying away from theaters in droves. Disney's decision to modernize Snow White was a gamble that simply didn't pay off. The studio, eager to push a progressive agenda, decided to strip away much of what made the original tale so enchanting. Instead of sticking to the familiar elements of the classic fairy tale, Disney attempted to infuse the story with modern themes and a heavy-handed political message. What was supposed to be a whimsical adventure turned into a lecture on social justice, alienating fans who were looking for the magic and innocence that Snow White represented. The central issue with the modernization was that it missed the mark entirely. Disney tried to turn Snow White into a character who rejected the traditional fairy tale narrative, but in doing so, they ignored the essence of the story. Snow White was no longer the innocent, hopeful figure that audiences fell in love with in 1937. She was now a preachy, self-righteous figure, focused more on fighting the system than on embracing the magic of the original tale. Fans, who had been excited for a faithful reimagining of the iconic story, were left disappointed. Instead of a magical escape, they were presented with an agenda-driven film that treated the original material with disdain. The irony is that Snow White's themes of bravery, love, and friendship were already deeply ingrained in the original story, but by attempting to rewrite these timeless elements in favor of political correctness, Disney lost sight of what made the original film a timeless classic. In trying to update the story, they only made it unrecognizable and ultimately unappealing to fans. Rachel Zegler's involvement in Snow White became a lightning rod for controversy, and her outspoken comments about the original film only added fuel to the fire. Instead of honoring the legacy of Snow White, Zegler chose to openly criticize it. In interviews leading up to the release, she referred to the original 1937 Snow White as outdated and problematic, calling attention to what she saw as issues with its portrayal of the love story, particularly the prince's relationship with Snow White. Zegler's remarks remarks made it clear that she didn't view the film through the lens of nostalgia, but rather as something that needed to be fixed. This disrespect for the source material didn't sit well with fans. For many, Snow White wasn't just a movie, it was part of their childhood. To have the lead actress publicly undermine the original felt like a slap in the face. Instead of approaching the character with reverence, Zegler's portrayal seemed to mock the very things that made Snow White so beloved. Her approach to the role focused more on personal statements and modernizing the character than on preserving the magic and innocence that audiences had cherished for decades. It wasn't just the fans who were upset. Many critics and industry insiders also felt that Zegler's tone-deaf approach did more harm than good. Rather than positioning herself as the lead in a beloved fairy tale, she became a symbol of how Hollywood's attempts to update classics can sometimes go too far. In doing so, Zegler inadvertently contributed to the backlash that ultimately hurt the film's reception. When comparing Minecraft and Snow White, the differences in audience reception are striking. On one side, you have Minecraft, a film based on a video game that has captivated millions of fans worldwide. And on the other, Snow White, a Disney classic that was reimagined with modern themes that felt out of place. The two movies couldn't be more different in terms of approach, and their box office performances reflect that. The key to Minecraft's success lies in its simplicity and its focus on delivering a fun, non-political experience. The film stayed true to the spirit of the game, lighthearted, playful, and packed with action. The movie didn't try to force any political messages down the audience's throat. Instead, it gave fans exactly what they wanted, a thrilling adventure that celebrated the world of Minecraft. This approach appealed to its massive fan base, which includes kids, teenagers, and even adults who have been playing the game for over a decade. It was a nostalgic yet fresh experience for fans across generations. In contrast, Snow White became bogged down by its attempts at modernization. Disney tried to update the story with political undertones and a woke twist that alienated a large portion of its fan base. Instead of offering a magical escape into a fairy tale, Snow White tried to lecture its audience on contemporary issues, which wasn't what fans wanted or expected from a Disney classic. The result? While Minecraft thrived with its unapologetic fun and family-friendly adventure, Snow White struggled, its message overshadowing the magic. The contrast is clear. When it comes to reboots, staying true to the essence of the original story matters far more than injecting an unnecessary agenda. Behind the scenes at Disney, things were far from smooth. What was supposed to be a major blockbuster turned into a behind-the-scenes nightmare. From executive infighting to questionable decision-making, Snow White became more than just a box office failure. It became a cautionary tale for Hollywood about the perils of not listening to your audience. Insider reports reveal a studio in turmoil, with different factions of Disney management pointing fingers at each other. Some executives were furious that the film's marketing team didn't pivot sooner after the initial backlash from casting decisions and early reactions to the film's tone. Others blamed the scriptwriters, accusing them of disregarding test audience feedback in favor of pushing their own ideological agenda. The lack of cohesion and direction at Disney was painfully evident as Snow White continued its downward spiral at the box office. One of the major issues was Disney's failure to rein in Rachel Zegler after her controversial statements about the original Snow White. Instead of managing the PR disaster, Disney let her continue to make damaging remarks about the film, further alienating fans who were already hesitant about the changes being made. In hindsight, it seems the studio missed multiple opportunities to fix the situation before it reached its breaking point. At its core, Snow White's failure wasn't just about the movie itself, it was about Disney's inability to read the room by focusing too much on contemporary messaging and not enough on delivering a faithful, high-quality story. Disney ignored the very audience that made the original Snow White a timeless classic. So what's the final takeaway from the epic clash between Minecraft and Snow White? It's clear that audiences today are hungry for entertainment that respects their time and nostalgia, something Minecraft understood perfectly, while Snow White missed the mark entirely. Disney's decision to force a political agenda into a classic story not only alienated longtime fans, but but also overshadowed the magic of the original fairy tale. What could have been a golden opportunity to reintroduce Snow White to a new generation instead became a cautionary tale of how not to handle a beloved franchise. As for Minecraft, it proved that when you stick to what makes your brand special, fun, creativity, and a little bit of nostalgia, you can succeed beyond expectations. In the end, the fans spoke loud and clear. They want fun, not a lecture. Now, Disney's left with a tarnished brand and a failed reboot, while Minecraft sits pretty at the top of the box office, proving that staying true to your audience is the secret to success. The question remains, will Disney learn from this or continue down a path of political correctness that might ultimately ruin more of their iconic stories? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this crazy topic. Do you think Snow White's failure was inevitable, or was it a bigger issue within Disney? Drop your comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more updates as we continue to dig into Hollywood's latest blunders. Until next time, stay tuned and stay informed.